Good morning, traders. To most of my delegates here, what I thought I would do is try every morning is to do a single video, which is actually a discussion of all the potential trades that are setting up as income generators, and then do separate recordings for, the different types of trade setups, whether it's a power play scan for stocks or whatever. But I can group them together, and then I could send it out as part of an email, and just, and so everyone can kind of, if there's something they're looking at, they could also, they could kind of chat to me about it. So the first one is that I had been looking for an income generator on cable. So this was kind of my expectation at this point. I was aware that once it broke my original setup last week, the low test, it was going to pull back further. I was anticipating it would come back down to the 1600 level, which was around about here, at which point it just broke all the way through. I was looking to see a sign that it was actually going to turn around, which never occurred. And in addition to that, we never really got an income generator setup. However, the master traders would be seeing a different setup occurring at this point. So in order for us to actually trade this and take advantage of this. So if you are interested in learning how to trade different types of opportunities, just get in touch with me, and and if you haven't attended our master trader courses, I'll make sure you get on one of those. So in other words, what happens is, obviously, to keep you safe as a beginner trader, we make sure that you only trade the most likely setups. Failing that, and obviously as you become a better trader, there are additional setups. So every time one particular setup fails, there's actually a master trader setup that occurs. So the other thing is, of course, I have my weekly chart below here, so I'm always making sure that I just see where I am on my weekly. And it is interesting to note that at this point it has broken through this trend line on the weekly, which is quite bearish, but it is bouncing on the EMAs, the moving averages. So it's not inconceivable, and it is at a key support level here. This is the next support level down, so it's not inconceivable. It can still turn around. The main thing is just observing what happens with today's bar. If we get a small inside bar, as in this bar, kind of the open and close by tomorrow, this time tomorrow morning, I'll do another video to review it. We'll then assess where we are at this point, but it's now a master trader. So until we get an income generator setup, this is now a master trader trade setup, and is not really suitable for the junior traders. The other one I'm looking at here is Pound-Aussie. Pound-Aussie, one of the reasons I like it, have a look at this. It is effectively in a downtrend, except for the fact that we are now proceeding to get what appears to be high highs and high lows, and it is jumping between the different channels. So it's striking up against this is worth noting, it's striking up against the 100 EMA, and it is performing a high test. It has broken the recent high, so it's not inconceivable. Phase 1, Phase 2, end of Phase 1, high test, off for 100 EMA, it could pull back. This is something that we could have a look at. On the daily, though, it has a really nice steady uptrend. It's one of the things that I absolutely love about it. So why this is worthwhile considering is that if you place your order above it, if it is indeed going to reject that level, then price shouldn't really go from here and break up beyond the high of that. So one of the ways we can safeguard against ourselves is, first of all, if price then does actually proceed to continue this upward cycle, because we don't really know how long it's going to run for. And so what we do is we prepare for a potential entry to go long here. So in other words, if this is quite a hefty reversal signal. It's due for a reversal. It's a very strong reversal signal on the weekly. If it's going to reverse, it should not trigger us in. So in other words, what that means is that if it does trigger us in, it's then actually a really good trade. So I might post this as a potential trade call. Guys, what I do is when I post trade calls and they expire, it's not because, I want to give you guys as many trades as possible, but I really have to give you the safest trades, and I only want trades that trigger. So often if they expire, it just means that they're not ready. They're not ripe. Think of it as fruit ripening on the vine. So, and they're not ready at this point. So look at this. It's really nice. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 1, pullback. This could potentially go long. So even though it is a high test at the moment, it might not finish as a high test. So I may put that up as a call, but just understand why. If it doesn't trigger, it's because of what we're seeing that's formed on the weekly. And if it does trigger, it's relatively a good trend. It means that that trend is continuing, and we can trade it up and above to the next resistance level. The next one that I'm looking at is Pound-CAD. This is the one I posted up the other day. This is quite interesting. Same thing. There's a really interesting cycle occurring here. This bar, this was my setup yesterday. This was an indecision bar. So please notice this was an outside bar. The high is slightly higher and the low is slightly lower. It's an indecision bar, and we appear to be having a bit of a battle going on here. So if we look at the weekly, it's because it's hitting up against that 100 EMA, and that's part of the reason we're having this battle. But that doesn't, this is the beauty of it, is that we don't have an income set up for today, and that's okay. That's a good thing. So we're looking in effect to see if the cycle then continues. So we'll wait to see if we get how today's bar closes. If it closes as an income generator setup, then we can look at it again tomorrow. So we place our high enough above it that it should actually only hit it if it is indeed moving up. You know, and when the market's volatile, it's not inconceivable you can get something like this where you get triggered in and stopped out. That can happen. And so that's why you always want the charts that are the most predictable. Alternatively, if you're going to trade this, you pay attention to the personality. And if it's like if it's someone with a short temper, you want to keep a bit more space between you and them. Then I have a look at Ozie-CAD. Ozie-CAD I quite like. Again, look guys, look at the really nice cycles. Pay attention to the lower highs and lower lows. It's very, very important. So we have a really nice kind of potential setup occurring here. I'm more inclined to look to see how today's bar closes rather than tomorrow. This is looking really nice. So think of it as a really nice pullback, and then it kind of shoots itself down. Again, on this side, look at this. We're in between the 100 EMA and the 200 EMA. There is potentially some kind of soft level of support resistance here, but I'm finding that the next big level is probably down here. So I think we have some room to go. Again, you only get triggered in if there is indeed a reversal. So we'll have again a look at that tomorrow, but I'm relatively happy with that. These are starting to fan out. Look at this. The 50 has just dropped below the 200 EMA, and the 20 is underneath the 50. So we have a fanning out, which means there is potentially a momentum occurring here. So we just want to kind of see how much room we have to run before we have to just start being cautious. So that's a nice setup. The next one I'm looking at is which is Kiwi-Swissy. Now, this was an income generator call that I did, so you should be in this trade if you took it, and you should be up for break even, because what would have happened is, of course, you would have updated your stop to behind yesterday's bar. You'd be wanting to see what happens. So at this point in time, there's no way, it never came anywhere near our stop, which was originally up here. We're now at break even, so we cannot lose any money on this trade. Guys, I'm going to repeatedly get you guys to a point where you don't lose money, and so any money you do make is profit. I'd much rather get you to a point where you just don't lose money and you only make money. It doesn't matter if you make very little money, but you're not losing money. And you might not appreciate that now, but the trick to trading is to keep all the money you make. That's the real thing. So if I can get you to a point where you're not losing money, which is the point at which traders are often where they're starting to improve. It's when they stop losing money. So if I can get you there faster, everyone's happier. So at this point, this is a major breakthrough, guys. It broke through this low. It's bearish. Look here on the weekly. Lower highs, lower lows. This is great. It's broken below the 100 EMA. So what's actually happening at this point is we have room to run down to the bottom. This is a great trade. If we get an income generator, if you didn't enter this, we actually have a potential short coming up. So that's a good thing. It's broken through, coming back, testing, broken through support, coming back, testing resistance. We'll get an income generator signal and we'll take it. So just wait for that, just patience. I will alert you guys to setups that I really like. These are setups that are looking relatively healthy, and you can just kind of get a sense of how I analyze this. All right. So just stay in touch with me on this. You can make comments on the YouTube page as well, or send me an email at adam.harris@knowledgeaction.co.uk. All right. Take care. Bye.